Friday, Q&A. Fanmail! Lovely. I'm filming from my phone today because my regular camera is fogged. It's cold and damp here, and it makes my cameras fog up. No news, so we're going to go straight into the questions. We got a lot of good questions today. Nefump asked, how was your Christmas/holiday season? It was lovely. I went nowhere for Christmas. I video called my family. It was fantastic. I went nowhere, and it was everything that I thought it could be. New Year's, I then did go and visit friends. We binge-watched the entire 4th season of Lego Masters, which was cool. I then got to actually meet one of the contestants on the Old Grey Bricks live stream this Monday. And that was pretty cool. Big picture. Will you attend End War? I have attended End War. I went to End War 2019, and that was enough. I have no particular desire to attend End War again. There are so many other events that I would rather attend, though it is definitely something that you should attend at least once just to experience it. Ben the Wild Child, are you still the Commander-in-Chief of the Auxiliary? Yes, I am still the captain of the crew, and I am still the commander of the Auxiliary. The Model Railwayman, do you have any tips for helping command a group of folks in LARP/melee combat that either you were unable to frequently train with or maybe new to the concept? So, LARP, and depending on the kind of LARP and the kind of melee that you're planning to do, if you're trying to do something like the crew did back in the day of, shield wall tactics and, a combination of, Roman shield wall and all of that, you really need to be able to drill. And if nothing else, you get together before the event and do some drill, because it's the only way to do that kind. If you're just talking like small squad tactics, then that's something that you can, talk about in chat, on Discord. You can do video conferencing, trying to at least get some idea of at least knowing what the commands are, what they basically mean. But when it comes to in the field, make your orders short, concise, explain what exactly you want done, and as much as you can, why. The why is very important, because if you just give them an order, go and do this, and they go to do that and it doesn't work, if they don't know why they were doing it, if they don't know the end objective, the final goal, like, I need you to take this objective, here's how I want you to do it. Okay, they can try to do it the way you told them to, but if that doesn't work, if they know what the goal is, they might be able to find a better way or a different way. And allowing that autonomy can be very good, especially when you don't have a lot of drill and a lot of it's going to be, what are they good at? Give them goals rather than orders, it would be my advice. Optimus Voltron. How would the Daleks and the Cybermen from Doctor Who do in a fight against some Warhammer Space Marines? So I don't know a whole lot about Doctor Who, honestly. For various reasons, I am not a fan. None of it actually having to do with Doctor Who itself. It's not... Anyway. The problem with trying to compare any sci-fi world against another sci-fi world is the first question you have to answer is, whose universe is it taking place in? This is a problem with Star Trek versus Star Wars, Doctor Who versus anything, Battlestar Galactica versus whatever. It always comes down to whose universe is it taking place in, because that's going to determine how the world works. Because science works differently in Star Trek than it does in Star Wars. And both work differently than it does in our world. Warhammer 40k science is different than Star Wars or Star Trek science. And so just trying to compare them directly doesn't work, because they're not even in the same... Physics doesn't work the same. How powerful is a Dalek weapon versus Warhammer 40k Space Marine Ceramite armor? I don't know. We have no way of knowing. There is no possible way to objectively measure whether a Dalek's weapon would do anything to a Space Marine, or whether a bolter would do anything to a Dalek. We don't know. So you have to determine whose physics are we taking place in, and almost any time if you put someone outside the universe into that universe is going to win, because it's their universe. That's why, if the Star Trek crew got transported into Star Wars, they're not going to do well, but if a Star Destroyer showed up in the Gamma Quadrant, it's gonna have the problem. You know, unfortunately it doesn't work, and I used to enjoy like trying to explain why Star Wars was so much better than Star Trek, but now I recognize that was because I was always putting it into the Star Wars universe where hyperspace works, whereas hyperspace wouldn't work in the Star Trek universe. So, yeah. A long answer to go, I don't know. Griffin Hall. Any particular reason you don't do the overhead cam anymore when opening packages? Yes, because people said they wanted to have the forward facing so that they could see my reaction. They wanted to see my expression when I got cool stuff. They wanted to see me plots. Would you be okay with getting a Lego set that was off-brand Lego if the set was cool enough? Absolutely. I do not have any particular prejudice towards other bricks other than often their quality, like the plastic quality isn't as good and the grip isn't as good. But like a lot of minifigs and minifig accessories and other things in off-brand are really, really cool. And if it's going to be something I'm going to be putting on display, yeah, I've got no problem with that. So yeah, no problem whatsoever. Adrien Ghostwolf. Of the many Lego dragons released over the decades, Lego or Castle, Ninjago, etc., do you have any? And which are your favorites if you do? I have most. I don't have all of the various Ninjago ones. I have a couple of the big brick-built Ninjago dragons, and they are really cool. I remember when the original ones came out, the Dragon Masters, the green ones, the small ones, loved those, and then they came out in black for Fright Night, loved that because black is cool. I have some of the Fantasy era ones, the larger ones, the green one with the armor, and the red one, and I think the black one. And those are really cool. They're much larger. They're much more articulated. They've got more character. You can do more with them. But just for nostalgia's sake, I like the original ones. And thanks to Off-Brand, you can now get them in a lot more colors. And so I've got red ones and blue ones and brown ones and purple ones and gray ones. And that's really cool because I can do a lot with that. Kern16. When wielding a melee weapon and a pistol, which hand do you prefer to use the melee in? I will typically use the melee in my left hand because I'm left-handed, and I can better control a sword right-handed, and I'll then have the pistol in my right hand because I don't need to be quite as skilled or as strong with a blaster as I do with a sword. Second question, if you were invited to a convention as a guest, would you come? It would depend on the convention and what they want me to do and where it is. And are they covering travel costs? Are they traveling expenses? There's a lot of questions. But I have been to conventions as a guest. I've been to some steampunk conventions and sci-fi conventions that were in my area. And it was just, yeah, I'll drive down and run a Nerf war for you and do a panel on mods. Sure, sounds like fun. Frog or something in here. Barasta. What blasters would you run in a CQB battle that was 88 FPS? What an arbitrary number. Dual modded hammer shots. Now that should be well under 88 FPS. And if it's CQB and super low FPS, dual wielding hammer shots would be my go-to. I'll call it a hit. M.W. Hall. I run a Nerf club at an engineering college, and a group of our players has obtained an industrial air tank. They are using it to build a large rolling artillery cannon that will fire hundreds of rival rounds at a time. They've expressed interest in utilizing it in some way for HVZ. My question to you is, how would you implement an artillery barrage as a perk or a mission item? First of all, that's awesome. I've been wanting to build artillery, Nerf artillery forever, and this year I might actually finally do it. I make no promises, but it's on the list, and it's near the top of the list. I would definitely have it be something that they have to unlock, and would be used either, say, during the last stand, when the horde is coming at you, you get to barrage the horde, or having it be a mission that, again, either an item you unlock, or a mission-specific item where the zombies are all trying to defend something. And you're able to use that to do a volley to try to clear out as many of them as possible so the players can then get in. And again, it should be something that they should have to unlock. If they do well enough in mission A, then on mission B, where they have to take out this horde of zombies, they get the cannon. But because it's such a very specific item, and because it potentially might not be, you'd have to test it and see how well it works, but try to make it so it's really effective. Have the zombies have to be clustered somewhere. But definitely test it and make sure it's safe. If you're doing an arced shot and it's just hundreds of rival coming down, I think that would probably be safe. Obviously run it by the mods. But yeah, I think there's a number of ways that you could do an artillery barrage, either to bust up a horde in a human defense or bust up a horde that's defending a location, is how I would do it. LJ plays planes. 1. Why is orange the best color? Because it's very visible, and it's very common. That's why one of the reasons I went with it is because all Nerf blasters have orange on them already. A lot of things are done in orange and black for, like, Halloween. It's a great contrast. It shows up very well. There's a lot of different shades, and nice shades of orange. So I've got dark shades, bright shades, mid shades, all of the different shades of orange. And they all kind of still work with each other, where some other colors, when you start having different shades, they don't quite go as well together. It's not in my opinion. There are some shades of orange that I'm not a fan of, more peach shades. I prefer richer, brighter shades of orange, but the variety. 2. What is the best reptile? I always liked rattlesnakes because of how polite they are. They warn you. Like, go away. They're like, yes, I believe I will. There were rattlesnakes where I grew up in Idaho. I did have to take out a few of them, though, because sometimes they're in your way. Danny Starr. How feasible do you think it would be to integrate a Magnus and a rough cut, with the Magnus replacing the pump grip on the rough cut? I think that would actually work really well. I think it depends on how you're doing it. I can think of a number of ways to do it. If you actually have it so that the Magnus is upside down, and you cut off the handle and just graft that onto the pump grip, then you cut down the pump grip, so it wasn't the full length of the Magnus, but just where the front is. So you have something that you can grab to pump the rough cut without pumping the Magnus. That would be the problem if you went the other way and attached the Magnus to the grip. So the top of the Magnus is attached to the grip, to the pump grip. Then when you pumped it back, it would be fine. But when you went to pump it forward, the Magnus would extend, and it could be awkward. So I would do it upside down and cut the pump grip down, like we do on Master Key ones, where we don't want it to get in the way of the magwell, so that you have somewhere to grab to pump the rough cut, and then can separately pump the Magnus. I don't think it would be that difficult. It would be making that attachment really strong would be the hardest part, because it's a very load-bearing point, the pump grip. But it's definitely feasible. Bots and bricks. If there was an all-out war between all available LEGO Castle factions, who would be the victor, and would there be any alliances? I actually plan to eventually answer this question on my LEGO channel. I have been building armies of all of the different factions, including making up some extra factions from figs that didn't have a faction. I definitely think like all of the lion factions would unite. The crown lions from the fantasy era, the red lions from the kingdoms era, the early crusader knights, the newer ones. So you'd have all of those, and that would be a huge faction, because those were all big factions. I could then see the various dragon factions uniting, the black knights, the dragon masters, the red dragons, the green dragons, all of those factions uniting. Obviously, you're going to have most, like the evil factions are going to unite, the bull knights and possibly the wolf pack and the scorpion knights and possibly the trolls. All the evil factions, depending on your definition of evil, might very well unite. The Black Falcons were always one of my favorites, and they're a fairly strong one. Because they're one of the ones that's been brought back in recent years. So we've got them again. You definitely have someone who have extreme advantages. The ones that have dragons, obviously, are going to have an advantage. So the undead always have the advantage of every time they kill someone, that person just rises and joins their army. So that's always an unfair advantage. That's the whole problem we have with HVZ. You never run out of zombies. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out with mine. Dustin Bergen. 1. Why is it that modders in the community seem to like Voltmeter so much? Because it lets you know how much power your battery has. Admittedly, a volt alarm is probably better, but they're shiny. It's a really easy way to do an LED that also serves a function. 2. Do you know of any crossbow-style blasters, other than the Jolt-style bow strike, that have collapsible bow arms? No. Not that I can think of. Well, I want to say there was a Busby one that it wasn't a crossbow. I want to say it was up and down, and it took a magazine, and either the limbs were already folded or they might have folded, but I can't think of any crossbows that it's specifically designed to fold in, other than the bow strike. And 3. What is the simplest, little to no mod or stock, minimalist loadout that you've seen or used at an event? A Jolt. Just single Jolt. Probably the simplest. I've seen it run at Jared's Epic Nerf Battle. Coop ran just a Jolt and a fanny pack full of darts. I've seen Brett run a stock Whiteout Maverick at End War. I've seen people that just run socks. I saw a competitive loadout where a person ran nothing. Not even shoes. They were barefoot. Because it was a plant the MacGuffin game. And so rather than bringing a blaster, as soon as they said go and the other team all ran into cover, this person just sprinted down the middle, grabbed the ball, and dunked it before the other team could even come out of cover. The whole round lasted less than 9 seconds. It was amazing. And finally, Liam Shoemaker. What age is inappropriate for rival blasters? Well, if they're old enough to prime it back, they're probably good. And there's a lot of flywheel rival blasters. So, old enough to take a hit from a rival blaster? It's really going to vary. There isn't like that. It's going to be 4 years and 3 months and 2 days. It's going to depend on the venue, depend on the play style, depend on which rival blasters, because some of them hit harder than others. What ages for 150 FPS half dart blasters? Again, if they can use the blaster and can take a hit, that's really what it matters. It's going to be an individual thing. It's not going to be at exactly this age, suddenly it's okay. They have age recommendations on the box. And at least old enough to know, keep your iPro on. If you've got kids, young enough, they keep wanting to take their iPro off. So that's an important part. And finally, what is your opinion on Wallcom's take that half darts should replace full-length darts entirely? I disagree. I think full-length darts definitely still have a place. They're within our hobby, perhaps, but at this point, full-length darts are still weirdly considerably less expensive than half darts, despite having less material. I don't make the rules. And not everyone wants to play high-powered modded games. There's still a lot of stock games out there, and so I definitely feel that there is still a place for full-length darts, and I still enjoy them myself. Ha-ha! I hit! A direct hit. All right, we actually have some package, and we will get into them after these potential messages. Maybe I'll actually remember to put the ad in. All right, we're going to start with the small one, which I actually know is something for review. This comes to me from Radioactive, and hopefully I will get the review on this out next week. It is a super Shnazzy series of upgrades for the Outlaw, and since I have a very nice pair of Outlaws, I'm looking forward to that. We've got replacement springs, replacement O-rings, replacement barrel, very nice, and a variety of spring spacers. So I will have that. I will get those installed, and I'll do one first and compare them so you can see, okay, how much of an improvement is there, and then I'll probably end up doing them both if I like the improvements. If I don't like the improvement, if I'm not a huge fan of the improvements, I will buy another pair of Outlaws and upgrade them and leave my modded ones. a little more stock. We will see. All right, this one I don't know about. This one could be something for review, or this could be just stuff for me. It's a thing! Oh, yeah! Dear Captain, enjoy this Red Supermax 350 donation. Let's keep the vintage collection dream alive. Sincerely, Vintage Nerf. So, this is an unusual, a rare variant of the Supermax 350 that I definitely did not have. That is really, really cool. Interesting. It's got a ratcheting prime. That is fascinating and super, super cool. I'll have to figure out what year this... Oh, there we go. Laramie... Oh, no. Definitely 2000. Cool. I will have to get this added to the wall. Oh, yeah. Rare vintage red. Very, very cool. All right. And then finally we got a large package here from Dan Buddha. A note! Hooray! Dear Captain Xavier, I hope this package finds you well and that the new year is going to be a great one. In the box, there is a bit of happiness, some items for your indoor range, and a box of Worker Gen 3 to keep things from rattling around too much. The happiness is yet another double set, and I figure you could at the very least use a wizard. The range items are part of an arms deal. I needed 2 and got 4, so couldn't think of a better place to send the extras. The darts just seem like a fitting packing material. As for Fan Mail Friday question, are there any upcoming or current hobby grade blasters you're hoping to try out for 2024? As always, thank you for interesting, entertaining, sometimes silly YouTube content that you bring. Bangarang, Dan Buddha. Yes, there are 2 that I definitely am hoping to get my hands on at some point. The Juno from Out of Darts, because it's the upgraded Jupiter, and I want to see what kind of improvements they've made. And then I believe it's the Alchemist. I think it's the Alchemist, and I believe it's a silly butts pump action Springer that everybody has said is absolutely amazing. I think I got to prime it once and it was so buttery smooth. At least I think that's the one I'm thinking about. There are also some 40 max stuff. The 40 max blasters. There's some neat ones that are out there now that I wouldn't mind getting my hands on. I'm still trying to get more 40 max shells and the necessary green gas for it. So let's see what we got. Oh, cool. Oh, those are Shnazzy. Those are fancy. I'm going to have to up my indoor range. USB charged. Sweet. Is that it? Oh, how's it work? How am do? I'll have to read the instructions. I think they have like apps and stuff involved. You like set it up through your phone and you can, yep, there's an app. Awesome. Oh, that is so cool. That way I might be able to turn them on when they accidentally turn themselves off. Comes with a cord. That is awesome. Thank you. I may have to go ahead and acquire a few more. You said you needed 2 and got 4. Sweet. Packing material. Yes. Which ones are they? Oh, they're the purple. Purple ones are good. Can't go wrong with that. And oh, good lord, sir. Good lord. It's the remake of Magisto's Magical Workshop. It was a gift with purchase. Limited edition. I already opened and built mine, and you can never have too many. Can never have too many. Particularly like getting another one of the night is actually more interesting for me. Fabulous set. I remember getting the original. Very, very cool. Well, as always, you all spoil me, and I appreciate it. I love the questions. Great questions this time. Good questions. And as always, wonderful loot. And I look forward to doing reviews on the stuff that Radioactive sent me, and carrying on with my regular series, all the stuff that you guys have been voting on. I'm looking forward to doing all of that. I've got some of it planned, some of it not so planned, some of it partially filmed, but it's good. I've worked out a lot of my schedule for this year already. The only thing I have to obviously wait on is the choices that you guys vote for. So looking forward to that. So, all right, I think I've blathered enough. As always, thank you for watching.